Hey campers, welcome to the tent. This is our weekly campfire where friends gather to slow down, share stories, and learn from life outdoors. This is a space to listen, laugh, reflect, and connect through real experiences and real people. We are so glad you're here for our pilot episode, Camp Meets World. Today, we're joined by Sam, a seasoned corporate leader, and our host, Raj, a pioneer in the Indian camping space. Together, they explore how two very different worlds can meet and maybe even add to each other. We hope you enjoy. Let's get started.
Sam, welcome to our Tent Talk. It is such a joy to have you on board. This is our new initiative called Tent Talk, and as you know, we are an adventure company and we've been involved in camping for many years, and it's such a joy to have you, Sam. It's truly a delight. So welcome on this podcast. And friends, if you are watching this, please do listen to the end. There's a lot of information over here, and Sam is a gold mine of information, and I'm sure that you would learn a lot from us this episode. So thank you for joining, and thank you for tuning in. So Sam, let me ask you some couple of questions. And knowing you, Sam, you come from a very business corporate background. What brings you into the camping world?
Raj, primarily, camping has always been something which is, it was one of those things which I've never done in a proper manner. Okay, and I saw this opportunity, where you extended an opportunity to work with the Fisherman Trust, and I thought it was a good opportunity to explore, because one of my major, passion is to explore as many opportunities as possible, so that somewhere I will add a little bit of value to other people's life.
Wow. And you have so much of experience, Sam, in your corporate world, and in the now stepping into the adventure world. What do you see as a transition, Sam, from a corporate to camping? Do you see any similarities over there, or what's your take on that?
Raj, I don't see many similarities. Probably the only similarity that I would say is people, because it's at the end of the day, it's all about people management. So that is a good similarity, but that stops there. Because corporate world is all about bottom line. Okay, everything is about bottom line. In camping, I've not seen that yet. Okay, for whatever reason. I mean, there are campsites which are run by professionals and people who have involved in camping for a long time, and TFT has also been in camping for more than 20 years or so. But my take is that professionalism is not kind of seeped into the DNA. It is still a very the promoter run opportunities. And of course, the promoter has the DNA. In your case, you run the TFT with your DNA. But there's a lot more to do on the to bring in what you call process, professionalism, to be bottom line driven. But that's a fine balance, because camping is not about giving a touristic experience. The camping that you are talking about is giving a heart change.
That's right.
Okay, so we need to have that balance between the bottom line and the heart change, because everything cannot be driven based on the bottom line.
So would you say, in terms of relationship versus results, or if you look at the corporate world, it's all based on results and targets and things, and where if you look at the camp, it's more to do with relationship building. It's all based on relationships, because we all are very a social being. How would you take that, Sam, from a corporate to a campsite?
Raj, that was, I think, excellent, observation. Corporate world has no relationship. I mean, a relationship stops and starts from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Thereafter, relationship. It's all about I, me, and mine. Whereas the camping world is not like that, because you are trying to change people's perspective, trying to make people to think who they are when they come into the camp and who they want to be when they exit the camp. Okay, so that's a fundamental difference between the corporate and the camping world. So yes, corporate world has its advantages. Certainly we can take the good things into the camping world, but camping world has its own unique advantages which cannot be replicated in the corporate world.
That's so true, Sam. If I may ask you a question, Sam, how do you see camp to exist in a country like ours in India, where when people talk about camp, they say it's a very westernized concept. But do you feel this has any mileage in an Indian setting for people to come apart to a place apart for recreation and things? How do you see camp as a business or a growth? How would you place that?
Raj, I'm just going to speak on the fly on this because suddenly it kind of it struck me. If you look at India, India is a very religious place. Okay, whether you're a Hindu, a Muslim, or a Christian, everybody is so religious. Okay, religiosity runs in the blood of an average Indian. Now, if you look at camping. What is camping? Camping is you take people from their existing, environment into a new environment to try and, give them some kind of a perspective change, a heart change, holistic change. If you look at religion, that's what they do. They run their own camps. They have those, retreats. They have the Hindus run their, the camps of Benares and, all these places where the rivers meet. Okay. Yes. What is that? That is, they're trying to bring people into an environment and trying to give them a fresh perspective. Okay. So from that perspective, even the Christians do that. No, we take people outside the church, give them a retreat, take them to a convention and things like that as well. Okay. So camping is very similar. You're taking people, what they're doing on a regular basis, taking them out and giving them a fresh perspective to their life. Okay. And the advantage that camping does is, you're also building in the environment, the nature into this entire experience. Okay, you're not just talking about experience of only the mind or the body or the soul. You're looking at a holistic experience. Okay, right. Or how you're going to go about it. So from that perspective, I do not see this as a westernized concept. It is a concept, except that we use westernized equipment. That's it.
That's a nice way of putting it, because camp has always been, if you look at the Gurukul system, the students would leave their parents and they'll go and live with the Guru, who is the ultimate teacher.
Absolutely.
And they will live for years with them until they get trained and things like that. So the concept of camp is very much Eastern philosophy. It has been there.
Yes.
And I think it made more popularized when in our modern society, I would say.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you see camping as a future in India, Sam?
Raj, I see camping in India as a future. The potential is there. Okay. Now, if you look at physics, there is what is called object is in motion till the point the velocity reduces and it comes to a stop. That is what is called kinetic energy. Okay. Now, kinetic energy is what is required to put the object in motion. Okay. Now, here we have the potential, but we do not have the kinetic energy. Why we do not have the kinetic energy is because the current model of camping, the business model, I don't think it is in a position to, self-sustain the entire thing. Because if you look at camping in India, while we talked about previous this thing that it is very similar to what we offer as a Gurukul experience or a convention experience or a retreat experience, but still people tend to look at it in a very, very narrow way. Okay, they look at camping as it's a slightly more what do you call something which is luxury, which is not an everyday. It's not like us going to a church on a Sunday or going to a temple on a Friday. Okay, it is still considered as a luxury. So how do you break that mold? Okay, that is the key question, Raj.
Wow. Makes a lot of sense, isn't it, Sam? And Sam, if you had to put a business structure to the camp, because without a business structure, it's very hard to run anything. So what will be some fundamentals that you think, Sam, to get into a camp? Because we have seen, we in this 21st century, there's so many things which has been going up. But somehow I feel the camp is not really up and running or taken off as it would have happened in the West. What do you see, and what would be some fundamentals for the camp to thrive, or in a way which would be a blessing in terms of its business or also in terms of its outreach?
I think, Raj, my observation in the last 8 months is people who have the resources, they do not have the vision. People like you who have the vision do not have the resources. So how do you marry these two?
That's right.
A good point here would be, a soap solution where, the oil and the water needs to be miscible. So where is that soap? Okay. That soap is going to be our own campsite. Okay. A person who has a vision should also have his or, her own campsite. Okay. That is one. Second thing is, campsite cannot be treated as a standalone business. Because in the current scenario, even in the Western scenario, campsites run only for 3 to 6 months in a year.
That's right.
Okay. Whereas you're putting huge amounts of money on the property, on the infrastructure. So the return on investment is going to be zilch. Whereas the business runs every day. Every day. Okay. Campsites cannot run like that. So we have to look at the campsite business plan in the following manner. I mean, these are thoughts which is, it just happened to me as I've been working for this last 8 months, looking at various options. One is, you look at campsite can work as a campsite, double as a wedding venue, double as, a skill development venue. That is one option. Second is, somebody has the money, they have a passion to, do something, but at the same time, they do not want to just give money on philanthropy. If they can invest in a parcel of land, okay, and give it on a 30-year lease to somebody like you, saying, okay, I want to see, let's put some metrics. So every 5 years, every year I want to see whether you achieve this. We'll work on a 30-year lease, where he invests on the property, you invest on all the infrastructure. Okay, that is another model, because there the pressure on putting money on the property is not you. So there's no pressure saying I need to generate so much business, I need to generate so many things.
That's right.
Your vision, your passion is what is to run a camp without having the pressure of generating return on investment. So that's the second model. The third model is, of course, you raise your own funds, buy a property, and run your camp. But in all this, you need to be nearer to a big urban setup. You can't have your campsite in some mountain or hill, which is about 300 kilometers from the nearest urban center. Okay, that's a no. Okay, what you need is, you need to be somewhere closer to Bangalore, a 60-minute out of Bangalore. Okay, maximum 75 minutes. The reason is, the roads connecting to these external, outside Bangalore would be far better compared to driving, 300 kilometers. This is not US. In the US, you can do 300 kilometers in 3 hours.
True.
In India, 300 kilometers will take 8 hours. That's
even longer than that, isn't it?
That's the primary thing, Raj.
So how would you say, in terms of, if you have to have a business model, there's a saying in the US, dollars follows vision. How would you translate that to an Indian setting where you would have a vision for it, and what would be some ways to think about, and does camping has a future in India?
Absolutely, Raj. I think camping certainly has a future. I mean, only thing, it's a long gestation. You'll not see your vision, fructifying into an actionable outcome. Maybe in the next 10 years, it'll probably take 20 years. Okay, but what you sow today, 20 years later, that will take off. Let's take an example, okay, of the youth in India. You have phenomenal, population of youth in India. School kids or college kids or people, under 25 and things like that. Okay, but the problem is, from a resource point of view, they're all resource deficient. They can't spend 3,000 rupees and come for a camp. How do you do that? You want to run your camp. You don't want to charge 3,000 rupees, because then you are limiting yourself to a select few people. How can I run my camp without, putting pressure on my system and still charge people only 500 rupees for a one-day camp? If you are able to, get an answer to that, Raj, and there is an answer to that, Raj, it's not impossible, but we need to, put our hands and mind and to make it happen.
Yeah,
it's possible. Then you have a plan.
And if you look at the campsites in India or some of the retreat centers, obviously we are not the first one to talk about these things, but where do you think they have gone through some big challenges? Because the other day I remember talking to you and you're saying how campsites are used during the year. Even if we are looking at some place in up the hills and place, in terms of the usage of the place, what would be your advice, and how would you look that into having a regular business coming out of a campsite?
Raj, two ways you look at it. One is, I was talking to you a little earlier, a multi-purpose. A campsite cannot just be a campsite. It has to be a multi-purpose thing. It can be a campsite when we need to run camps. It can be a wedding, venue for the wedding season. It could be, something else for another season. Okay, so you can, rotate it. The kind of businesses that are coming in. That is one option. Second option, Raj, is to build a good marketing network with schools, where you offer something for them as part of the curriculum, okay, and you have a good reach into the school management, okay, where you say, for you will only charge 300 rupees per student, but we will give you something in return which is 500 rupees worth.
Awesome.
That's
bringing value.
That is bringing value.
And when, all these campsites which were value based,
yes,
it's not just about the money,
yes,
but it's also about transforming lives, improving people's lives and things. How do you see where we could have a balance between the business run and making sure that you don't backstep on your vision and as well as your values and things? Can these both coexist?
It can coexist, Raj, because at the end of the day, you are going to impact lives. Okay. Now, impacting lives in a country like India also got what is called resource limitations. Mm-hmm. It's not the what I would call a vision limitation. It's got a resource limitation. Okay. Now, you look at the school. This thing. The school starts in June. Then they break for Diwali holidays in end September, October. Okay. Then they go up till December. Then there's another 2-week break. Then they go until March, April, exams, another 3 months break. So you have so many breaks coming in. You can't base your business on running only on schools. Okay. Mm-hmm. Second is corporates. Okay. That is another thing. But if you look at the corporate this thing, they maximum do all their activities between Jan and March because they have to exhaust the budget.
That's right.
Not before that, because the boss will say, boss, we need to run our business, we cannot go camping.
That's right.
Okay. So that is another, constraint you have. So my thing is that you need to have a mix of everything without losing sight, of course, of your passion. Okay. The corporate is running your business. Schools is impacting lives. Other businesses, which is what you call in alignment with what you're offering, can also lubricate the this thing the internal expenses so that you're not out of the pocket by the end of the year.
Sam, I just want to ask you some more questions on how you perceive camps over them. When I started, it was always a challenge for me, Sam, to get staff. Or they would say, what is so fun about playing games and things, and there was always a fear of introducing people as a career. What would you say to look at camp as a career, as a call, or even as a vocation? How would you look that?
Raj, my take on this is again, it's been the last 8 months this thing, but I kind of looked into this thing. You have a team, okay? You have a committed team. The team is like, I would say that they would die for you. That's a kind of team. I think that every organization should have a team like that. So that I do not see an issue. But what we need is you have a team which you have groomed. Okay. We need fresh perspective and thinking processes which is not from the same homogeneous setup. We need multiple, points of view that should come into an organization, and that's how your organization will kind of cross-pollinate and have better ideas, fresh ideas, and start growing. Because what you have done, it has carried this thus far, 20 years. From here, the next 10 years, how do you take this to the next level? So for that, we need to attract people who are from a wider spectrum. Now, certainly, camp in India is not, as you said in our earlier conversation, is not something which people look at it as a career opportunity. I fully agree, and I also say that at this point in time, it is still not a career path that people can look at, because the earning potential is very limited. So the two ways I think we can look at. One is we go offer this camp through our network to people who are finishing college, or they're going to take a break of some in between college and work and things like that. Tell them, come and work with us for 1 year. We're not promising you the income, but what we are promising you is your leadership qualities will improve.
That's right.
Your people management skills will improve, and we will use your ideas to better the changes that we want to impact on people's life.
That's right.
Okay, so that is one way of looking at it. Okay, so there we tap into a larger market, tap into the engineers, doctors, nurses. Okay, any people are welcome to join us. So we sell a vision. I'm not saying sell a vision from a marketing perspective. We sell a real vision where people actually at the end of 1 year or 2 years that they work with us, they go out and start probably a camping business, probably some other business or join a job, but they would be much better off than where they started.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is one. The second one is, Raj, we offer people what is called some kind of a ESOP. Okay. When I say ESOP, it is not like, you're a public listed company, so you're going to give them shares. What we are saying is, you come in, start with us, we'll train you. At the end of 1 year, you want to still go with us, okay? We'll work on a plan wherein you will get a minimum, a salary to run your life. But every marketing that you bring in, you'll get a cut. So that's another way of, introducing people to have more interest into this camping. Because we start with the vision saying that you will be a better leader.
That's right.
A better people management person, a person who has impacted other people's life. You would have probably saved 3 people from committing suicides.
That's right.
That should be the vision that we want to, impact on people who want to come into it. Then we add all these things.
In fact, that's so true, Sam, because I remember one of my mentors, Rob Ruby, Dr. Rob Ruby from Wheaton College, he used to say that camp is the perfect laboratory for leadership development. And in our work, we have seen so many young people who have walked into this office, who have worked and who have developed their skills, their leadership skills, and now they are flying colors. And I have stories after stories how camp has transformed lives, and not just in making that person a better person, but giving them the skills of leadership. And I am a great believer of camp being a great place for leadership development. And now to see that as a career, it is really, really exciting. So Sam, in your walk with business and, with the perspective of life, why do you think camp is not really taken off in India? What would be some of those barriers, if at all, if you would observe them?
Raj, I want to give you an anecdote to this. Okay, now there's this mother who has a kid who's studying in a kindergarten or first standard or something like that. She goes for a parents teachers meeting. In today's environment, the teacher is not supposed to say anything negative about the kid. Okay, so the mother is exasperated. She says, this kid, teacher, do you think that she has a future in this thing, or should I move her into another kind of education model? The teacher will say, every child is a flower, it will bloom in its own time. Okay, that's what the teacher will say. But actually what teacher has to say is, your child has this problem, you need to address this. But in today's world, people don't talk about it. Same thing in terms of camp. Okay, we are not in a position to, the people who run camping sites and things like that, they are not there to, tell the actual, issue. They're all, trying to, at a sublime level, trying to, manage things. Okay. Camp requires a lot of what you call, while we are trying to impact lives, we also need to, do a lot more soul searching, saying, what have I learned in the last 6 months and what is something which I need to do for the next 6 months?
Wow.
Okay. There, the impact is going to be my finance. Do I have that wisdom and the boldness to say, even if my finance go down, I will do these changes.
Wow.
That I don't think is there today.
And of late, Sam, you did an initiative called Do It Yourself for the kids. What was your experience seeing those younger kids getting to do some of the stuff with camp? How was your experience in that?
Raja, my experience has been wonderful. I really enjoyed every minute of that, and I still think that is a model which can be replicated. But of course, it requires a lot of chiseling and fine polishing of that entire model. But I see that one of the things that you get a kid into a camp is not only have an experience, but also experience their own expertise, their own talent, which so far they've not really worked on. Okay, these DIYs can help them to understand what they're good at, what they don't want to do. Those kind of questions that can be answered in a camp.
Wow, that's brilliant. Sam, in the next 5 minutes, what we have as we're going to close, from your perspective, what would you advise for someone who's wanting to start a camp ministry or a camp initiative? What would you say for that person to watch out? What would you say for that person to thrive? What would you advise that person?
Raj, first and foremost, the person should have a deep commitment saying, I am in it high or low. Okay, that I think is a must. Without that, camping cannot. Because camping is not like a regular business. It has more valleys than mountaintop experiences. Okay, that is one. Second thing is that person should be open to having people from diverse background who could be much better than that person itself. It cannot be, I know this business, so I will tell you what you need to do. Then it is the sheep and the shepherd. Sheep and the shepherd has a role, but camping requires a different kind of a shepherd. I would say camping requires a gardener who creates the bed and allows others to as seeds sprouting in their own little way.
That's a beautiful imagery, Sam. From a ship to shepherd and from a gardener. That's brilliant and things. In closing, Sam, if I have to ask you, what's your one word of advice that you would give looking at camp, not just as a ministry perspective, but also as a business perspective? What would be that advice?
Raj, my advice would be camping is something which is untapped, but it has to have a proper way to go about in this business. You cannot run it like the regular business, nor can it be run like the current camp business. It has to be in between, or I would call it a hybrid business.
What do you mean by that, Sam, if I may ask?
A hybrid business, Raj, there are good things in the regular businesses and there are good things in the camp business. We need to marry these two. To marry these two, Raj, it requires a lot more guts. It is not something which people can do it. Okay, one is the person who runs the camping business has to let go of the controls. Okay, and he needs to ensure, as I said, he needs to be the gardener and not the shepherd.
That's a beautiful picture. Yeah, Sam, thank you so much. Such a joy having you with us, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, and I hope to talk with you again. Thank you for giving us your input and your wisdom. It's truly a privilege for us.
All right, campers, fire's getting low. Thanks for stopping by the tent. We'll see you back here next time. And until then, keep the fire going.